Finally! Are you ready?
But that's not me, I'm the switchblade baby.
You, and especially you. Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Goodbye. Write it down, you like writing things down.
I am your favourite podcaster's favourite podcast. I am
Omega.
The Omega Luke Wrestling Podcast.
That is right, guys. You have tuned into your favourite podcaster's favourite podcast, Omega Luke, for this first time, and it won't be the last. I am being joined by my good friend Josh from Graps N. How are you doing, Josh?
What is up, man? How you doing?
I am very good, thank you. And we're finally here. We're finally doing our progress review that we teased the other day on Twitter. I'm excited for doing it. I've only recently got into progress quite a lot in the last sort of month or two. But obviously you've been following it for quite a while now.
I have. And probably plainly due to the fact that British Strong Style and the growth in NXT and NXT UK, going back over it, learning the rules of the trade as such in progress.
Yeah.
But no, I'll tell you what a journey that is. I mean, people were saying you could start wherever you want on progress and almost start again.
Yeah.
And that's what I tried to do. It's not easy. There's so many chapters, 3-4 hours ago. But a good starting point for me, if you are new to Progress on Demand, a good starting point for me is probably Super Strong Style 16 from 2017.
Yeah.
And then on, the program really picked up pace from there. So,
Nice. It's I've seen clips and stuff, and I've gone back and watched different chapters and stuff. But it's really picking up pace this sort of last year, I feel, and I think with the internet and everyone really getting into and getting behind indie wrestling, and obviously it helps that NXT has become this massive big deal, and we have our Pete Dunnes and Tyler Bates and Trent Sevens who are also at Progress, and obviously now with the UK brand having the majority of the Progress roster, I think it's really helped put a bit of a spotlight on how good Progress really is. It is wrestling for adults. It is it's completely different. And I think that is what I like about it. I said about Chikara a few weeks ago how that is different, and it's for someone very specific who likes comic books, who likes that sort of superhero way of life sort of thing. And I think Progress is very grungy and very rock and roll, like they say, is rock and roll wrestling. It is very much like that. You see the crowds; they are really involved and invested in the matches and stuff. And I really hate myself for not getting involved sooner, if I'm honest.
I feel exactly the same. I wish I'd have been part of the journey from 2012, especially from chapter 1. But I mean, credit to Jim, John, and Glenn. I mean, what they've done with that company from where they were. I mean, the Coast to Coast tour recently, WrestleMania weekend in New Orleans, back in April, end of March, April. In 2018 it's just groundbreaking for them, but some of the names they get in the door, and we'll probably touch on two of those names soon during this discussion about chapter 80, Gods and Monsters. But yeah, I mean, what they're doing, I mean, I've got to say, the O2 Ritz Manchester crowd, the last 2-3 chapter shows that I've watched have been incredible. And Jim has acknowledged that as well himself. I mean, I didn't think personally we could beat the Camden Town crowds, obviously being the home of Progress, so to speak. I mean, Ali Pali is more spaced out, so a little bit less noise, I think. I mean, you probably noticed that at Wembley. It's more spaced out, but, your smaller arenas really pick up that sound. But the O2 Ritz in Manchester, they certainly come alive, and you can hear it on demand. Certainly if you can't get to every show, unfortunately, like I cannot, and like you, I know, cannot quite get to most shows at the moment, but hopefully that will change. It's just where we live, isn't it, mate? That's the problem.
Exactly. But we are planning to go see a chapter in 2019, and hopefully we'll go see one together, because that'd be pretty cool to tick off the bucket list and sort of do a review with.
Definitely sail that boat, and let's hope that either your podcast or my podcast or both of our podcasts can get big enough so that we may be invited to do something for progress down the line. I think that would be a pretty awesome reward, especially for the amount of work that I know that you put in your spare time to bring this to your listeners.
Yeah. So before we go into the review of Chapter 80, quick shout out to the Patreon members. We have Jonathan Pilquist, Courtney, of course, and Wilfred and Smite to Death. If you are watching on YouTube, hello, make sure you are subscribed and drop the video a like. If you're obviously listening through the normal podcast methods of audio only, make sure you're subscribed again. If you do wish to see my lovely face on the face cam, you can on YouTube. And Josh, what do you've got going on currently? I see that you've released a episode today, a Christmas special episode. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, why the hell not? Get involved with the festivities. I interviewed Chuck a couple of weeks ago, and I know, in all honesty, you did exactly the same around a similar time. I held my episode back, and I wanted to use it as my Christmas special. And it's been successful. It's been out for 5 hours, and it's had some seriously big listen numbers for something that only come out 6 hours ago. It was just a way of saying thank you to those that have really helped me. You've participated in listening to my show. So I wanted to give something back. So I'm pretty confident a fairly big episode with guest Chuck Mambo. It was my Merry Christmas special. Going to have a little bit of time off over the Christmas period. Not much, though, because you've got to get guests on the show for the new year and keep bringing my listeners and maybe some of your listeners that maybe want to jump over and try something new every so often. Keep it fresh, keep it going, give the people what they want to hear. But also on there, guys, just one last plug from me. On that episode with Chuck Mambo, you need to listen to me just mention and talk about a special pay-per-view, special show coming up in June from Vanquish Pro Wrestling. So if you do check out my episode, just listen carefully to the introduction for Vanquish Pro Wrestling. You are not going to want to miss that. All right, thank you.
Brilliant. Not a problem, Josh. Obviously, we're going to have a big 2019, and you can all be a part of that. Like we have done already, there's plenty of discussions and topics being done on both podcasts. We recently collaborated and did a very well thought of episode on my podcast where we did the NXT developmental, which you were a part of, and we got a lot of feedback from that. A lot of people wanting to get involved, and you can get involved by heading over to the Patreon page, patreon.com/Omega Luke, where one of the tiers of the rewards, you can come on and join me, talk about these discussions, talk about these topics, just like Jonathan Pilquist is going to be doing. He will be with me at the end of the year for the end of the year review of 2018, our top 5 highs and lows in wrestling, so that'll be very good. And Courtney, who will be coming on in the new year, the Wrestle Kingdom special. We got an amazing topic that we're going to be talking about with Courtney, and I can't wait to get her on as well. And I do believe, Josh, you have a Patreon as well that you are just starting up.
I certainly do. The hard work that we put in our own time has got to have some sort of reward, but it also has to allow to reward our listeners, get everyone involved. I am learning the Patreon way, how to share, how to get everything on Patreon. So hopefully, when it's all up and running officially, you'll be able to check out my Patreon page, get involved. I'm going to bring new ideas in. I'm going to get you guys, get your voice heard, because remember, my podcast is from the fan, for the fans. So just remember, you guys are the fans. I'm a fan. Let's get talking together, and you can help support me by getting involved. Head over to my Twitter at Graps N to check out more. If you can follow the link for the Patreon page there, go get involved. There should be some tierage coming up very, very soon. Maybe just after the Christmas break, obviously, like I said earlier. Going to have a little bit of a break next few days, eat some food, have some drink, and just enjoy life as best as possible. So thank you very much, Luke, for allowing me to share that. Have got Patreon kicking off, hopefully in early 2019, just in time for that small New Japan show, Wrestle Kingdom 13.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it. But
No.
yes, Patreon is a great way of helping your independent podcast, like myself, like Josh, like Wilfred and Smart to Death, and help them continue to grow with the rewards of getting extra content. So thank you for everyone who does that and contributes, and thank you for everyone who just listens in general and subscribes, because it is a big help, and you don't realise how much it means to people like me and Josh when we get great feedback from you guys. Let's go on to the review then, shall we? Let's start. I always like the fact with Progress that we always get a start with Jim in the ring, because he's grown this this company into what it is now, and it will continue to grow. Like we've already mentioned, it's just getting bigger and bigger. But I still love the way that Jim just holds the crowd in the palm of his hands, brings new listeners in, brings new viewership in at the start of each show. What do you think of this spot that he does every time?
Well, I mean, if you know me, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I'm a bit Jim Smallman biased. I think the guy's great.
That's only because he's a Leicester fan, though, Josh.
It helps. I must say it helps. And when the unfortunate incident at the King Power Stadium happened a couple of months ago, Jim had to do his in-ring performance the following day on the Sunday, and he kindly performed it in a Leicester City shirt. Yeah. So my love for Jim went up even more, my respect for Jim, because I know he holds the football club so dearly to his heart anyway. But I just think he's a nice guy. He gives people the time of day when he's out and about, from what I hear from other fans. I mean, I'm not lucky enough to have met him yet, but I mean, I've got his book, and I'm hoping that the Progress show that I'm attending very, very soon, he's going to be there, and he might just take 30 seconds out of his time to just sign the book for me. I know openly he has said in the past, obviously disturb me, but obviously not when I'm working, kind of thing. Yeah. So I'm going to be sure to do that. But I just think the guy, he gets that crowd rocked up and ready. I mean, the laughs, the jokes, the taking the piss out of people as such always end on such a high, though. You know, it's always a case of, we might take the piss for 1 second, but actually we are so happy to have you here. You are a paying fan here, and you're helping us. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So definitely. there's that jovial joke, but actually the punchline of you're always welcome, because everyone's welcome at Progress. But Jim, I just think that the hard work that Jim puts in and the rewards are there. It's quite clear to see, but you won't. I mean, I can't wait to hold my hand up and say it's my first Progress show. I can't wait to get ripped for what I do and the reasons I haven't been there. And that's it, and getting a pretty expensive round. So yeah, that'll be a heavy night, I'm pretty sure. That'll hit the wallet hard. Cheers, Jim. Yep. But no, honestly, he's just a genuine nice guy, and like I said, his hard work is phenomenal. Yeah. But you've just said it. I mean, the way he works that crowd out before a show, you can't really go anywhere else in the world and get, I don't think in the world of professional wrestling, anyone with as much passion for the sport to kick off every single show, every single week, no matter how big or small his problems outside of the pro wrestling world may be. Definitely. Well, we kicked this Progress chapter off with a bit of a banger, to be honest. I thoroughly enjoyed the opening match. I don't know about you. And it also led to a match in Chapter 81, which we will be covering later on in the week. But this was with Paul Robinson and Chris Ridgway. A brutal sort of MMA style match with these two people. Their two styles of wrestling is very similar in ways, and I think it led to a great chemistry and match. And I'm a particular big fan of Chris Ridgway, just for the simple fact that he has probably the best introduction in wrestling, that he has a black belt in being hard as fuck. I think that is arguably the best introduction you can get as a wrestler. What you say? It's got to be. I mean, I had a yellow belt once, and I gave up. I was like 9 years old, with yellow belt. But
was it in being as hard as fuck though?
No, it was being as soft as shite, I think. A yellow belt would be as soft as shite. No, it was fun for me at that age. But honestly, no. I mean, you just said you're a big fan of Ridgway, as am I. However, Paul Robinson
Yeah.
is phenomenal.
Great heel.
He is one of the greatest heels. He is one of the greatest high flyers. And when you see more of Robinson, listeners, you may know what I'm talking about, in the world. He feels fresh. Everything Robinson does since he's returned, and he attacked Jimmy Havoc.
Yeah.
And they had that amazing match at Wembley. It was amazing, but Robinson adapts to each person he's facing, no matter where in the world it is, no matter who he's facing, he can adapt. And we saw that from Robinson going from denim jeans, his hard as fuck denim jeans, let's put it that way,
Yeah.
to having his, like his MMA style shorts on, adapting, and it made the match just feel that much bigger, in my opinion, the way that he adapted to face Chris Ridgway.
Yeah. But I think the match in general was pretty hard hitting, and obviously the crowd really do hate Paul Robinson, and I can't blame him because he does come across as a dick. Even though he shares my last name and my nickname of Robbo, I was completely hoping he'd get his head kicked in by Chris Ridgway. It did look like we were going to get that way until obviously we get a ref bump at a wrestling show, because what type of wrestling show would it be if we didn't have an ending with a ref bump? And we got this straight away. It led to a bit of fiery heat, get the crowd rowdy, and I really like how they did that, which led obviously to their rematch the next night. So obviously we had the ref bump. Robbo hits him with the chain, gets the win, while Paz, the referee, is looking in a different direction. So great finish, I felt.
It's genius booking. It's typical heel genius booking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Robinson is in the midst of a push, and I do fully expect him to be knocking on the Progress World Championship door, perhaps before Chris Ridgway. Perhaps. Okay, I'm not here to say he'll be champion, of course. But what I'm saying is, for him to win on that opening night in the fashion he did, shows you that there's a dangerous heel in this industry under the Progress umbrella. But obviously it protects Ridgway. I mean, we know he's hard as fuck, but with all due respect, I mean, if you get hit in the face with a chain, you ain't getting back up. No. Especially you're not getting back up within 3 seconds, and that's exactly the proof in the pudding. I thought it was genius. I probably went straight over to the Grapple app and probably voted it like a 3.75 star match. I mean, some of the kicks that you mentioned earlier, they were fantastic. The way that they both stood up, Ridgway puffed his chest out when Robbo was hitting it was just it was a fantastic way to open ultimately what was one of my favourite chapters of the year.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go on to the next match now then. We got Drew Parker against El Ligero. El Ligero, a bit of a veteran now. Obviously, we see him every week at NXT UK. We don't know the situation, whether we'll see these guys again in Progress or not because of the whole contract issues. But it's nice to get El Ligero in another match against Drew Parker. I'm also a big fan of. And what do you think of this match, Josh? I'll leave the floor for you for this one.
Well, I really enjoyed it, and it was a pleasant surprise to see Ligero back. I mean, it's such a face of Progress. It almost seemed like maybe it was the end, Ligero, the face from Chapter 1. Was it an opportunity for him to close his Progress door? Perhaps so, with a defeat here to Drew Parker. I mean, you just touched on, obviously, the contracts at NXT UK. Obviously, with Progress being the feeder to NXT UK, I'm not sure how it will work, but it may be the fact that Ligero, that was his last match against someone in Progress that isn't also contracted to NXT UK.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And, I hope it's not the last. I hope that's the same case for everyone, and it'll be interesting to see how Progress adapt to that. Okay. That being said, Drew Parker, revelation. I must say, he's a hardcore wizard. And I'm actually at the moment learning more about Drew Parker and watching his stuff on the side, because I must say, when Do Not Resuscitate debuted at Chapter 79. I think it was chapter 79. Quote me if it was 78. Apologies if I'm wrong. I was immediately hooked because, like you, Omega Luke, I love a faction.
Yeah.
And I know, and guys, whoever's listening, shout at me. I know they're not classing themselves as a faction. I know that. But they worked as a four. I loved that. And I loved every single bit of it. This match was everything it needed to be. It put Drew Parker over, and Drew Parker's going to be a star.
Yeah.
Mark my words. From his entrance, I mean, the Do Not Resuscitate theme music is spot on. They couldn't have got that any better. Drew Parker's mask, obviously we know that's part of his gimmick anyway. But him picking up that win was awesome. But I tell you what was better. It was the promo from Spike Trivet to begin the match.
That was my next thing I was going to say. The promo from Spike really stole the match for me, if I'm honest, because the promo was so good. And obviously, Spike carried on getting involved in the match. And obviously, it led to the finish of the match. He was holding the leg of Ligero when Ligero was on the top rope. And it led to that sort of package move that Drew Parker did for the win. So this Do Not Resuscitate faction team, whatever they're calling themselves, mean business, and they are affecting Progress Wrestling in a big way. And I cannot wait for 2019 to see how they really do affect, how high they take their influence on the roster, and how the ultimate end is for Do Not Resuscitate, whether there will be an ending for a while or not. I am very interested to see that, because each one of the characters that are involved in Do Not Resuscitate, I think, are awesome. So
absolutely. I mean, you've got one of the best mic workers in all of indie wrestling, with President William Eva, who I'm sure we'll get to in a bit. I mean, today is the day. Today is the greatest day. He's awesome. I mean, what he's doing there. I mean, obviously, himself and Chuck Mambo were tag team. Is it Sweet Jesus? From previous. So if they're sort of keeping not the faction, so to speak, but if you're going 2 and a 2, Drew Parker and Spike Trivet being more of the mouthpiece for Drew, I think that's awesome. Obviously, Chuck Mambo and Bill Eva are very, very different styles, but what I do like is that Chuck maintained his colourful look.
I thought that was
obviously,
very interesting.
Because they did highlight the fact that we're not a faction. We don't all get along, but we have the same views. And that was the point of it all.
Yeah.
So why should Chuck wear black, for example, and not be himself? This is him waking up, giving himself an opportunity, forcing the Progress hands to give him an opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. I mean, we'll get onto that match later. But for me, it's going in the right direction. And I know I'm hitting a Progress show very, very soon. And I'd love to see all four as a major, major part of that show. I really would.
Yeah, because the whole point of Do Not Resuscitate is, like what Chuck Mambo said on both of our interviews on our shows, it is to escape being on the mid-card and not being used as much as what they want to be featured. And that is the whole point of Do Not Resuscitate. They want to be seen more on Progress TV. They want to be involved in all the matches. And if they continue to do things like this, they are going to be, because they're going to be sparking a lot of rivalries with people. Massively.
And I can't wait. I mean, it feels like it's only just getting started now, which it obviously is. That sounded probably a bit silly to those listening on the outside. But when the wheels on this really get moving into early 2019, it's going to be a fantastic watch, mark my words.
Definitely. Let's go on to now probably one of my favourite matches of the card. Not the favourite, because I think me and you, without even talking about it, we have the best match of the night, which we'll get onto later on. But Pete Dunne versus Mark Andrews. I really couldn't believe we were actually seeing this match when it first sort of happened. I was like, oh, buzzing, I can't wait to see this. And it was an awesome match, and it really did kick on and become a very fast-paced moving. Obviously, we've got Andrews, who's very quick, very agile, We got Pete Dunne. Everyone knows what Pete Dunne's about. And these two just have awesome chemistry in the ring.
Absolutely, 100%. Mirroring what you said earlier with the NXT UK contracts, I wonder if this was a bit of a tester for Progress and their promotional side of it, because obviously they can't stand still. They're not going to be bossed by WWE. I'm sure of that. So promoting Andrews Dunne online a week or so before this show, I'd be interested to know what the feedback was and what a lot of people were replying, because you might get some that are thinking, oh yeah, but we could see that in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But actually, I mean, if you're going to a Progress show and you are given two best friends facing each other, Andrews and Dunne, and you get what we got at Chapter 80, it was a treat and a half. I mean, these boys aren't going to go, yeah, but we could do our best work in NXT UK. Why should we go to Progress and put half a show on? They put a full show on and more.
Yeah.
That bitter end on the outside, you know?
Awesome.
I mean, but that's the guys. That's those two guys for you.
Yeah.
The love of pro wrestling. I mean, we see house shows from said company, WWE, and you know, there's no real effort in there to do the big moves, the big hitters. Now, Dunne and Andrews, with all due respect to Progress, are onto something huge at NXT UK, but they still went on and put probably one of their best matches of the year on against each other at Chapter 80.
Yeah.
You know, it was phenomenal. And I think we all, you know, Pete Dunne was probably never going to lose that match there. It's rare for Dunne to take a pinfall anyway, no matter where in the world he is.
I don't remember him even losing a match on NXT TV for a long time, other than I think the triple threat match. Yeah,
I mean, I think he took a pinfall again, obviously from Roderick Strong, perhaps, when Roderick Strong joined Undisputed Era, in the Dusty Rhodes Classic. But I don't think in a singles contest I've seen Pete Dunne lose many matches, if any, pinfall.
No, he's very highly regarded.
Yeah, massively. Well protected.
Yeah, definitely. And he ends this match with not one but two tombstone power drivers to Mark Andrews. And I think that was the second time, because he plants the first one, and instead of releasing Andrews' body to sort of hit the canvas to put the pin on him, he stands back up, and I think the crowd got behind Pete Dunne as to say, oh, that's really clever, because Mark Andrews is one of these babyface guys that will kick out of anything. And it was a way of saying, no, I'm putting you to sleep before I get this pinfall over him. And I thought that was a really clever spot, how they did that to end the match, and it sort of protected Mark Andrews as much as it did with Pete Dunne getting the win. Definitely.
For me, it's a shame that we can't see Dunne hit that bitter end tombstone in WWE.
Yeah,
it is a shame, but I do like the maneuver that he does use in WWE anyway. That's fine, but it was just the storytelling. I think again, you've just hit the nail on the head with that. It was awesome. I mean, the crowd, I think they were on their feet, weren't they? Towards the end. It doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen everywhere. A lot of people. I went to a Rev Pro show weeks ago, and the only person we got up on our feet for was Pac at the end of the night. But there were others that were deserving of that, but it wasn't the right vibe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know? But when everyone collectively gets up on their feet, just a joy to watch, and to say that we pay, £6 something for Demand Progress?
Yeah.
You're given a match like that. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So, Dunne Andrews, if you're listening, thank you.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Which they always do, of course.
Absolutely. How could they not?
The next match then is the open challenge for the Atlas Championship, Trent Seven versus Dan Maloney. Before we go into the match, I'm curious to find out what you think about this Atlas Challenge, Atlas Open Challenge thing that they like to do at Progress. What do you think of it?
Well, I'm a fan of open challenges for championships from all around the globe. I think it's fantastic. Obviously, with the weight restriction of the Atlas title, anyone that's over 205? Anyone that's over 205
and over.
Obviously, I think it's genius.
Yeah.
So obviously WWE have got the 205 live, which is cruiserweight division. I just think this is fantastic. Anyone that weighs over that is fantastic, and I just feel that Trent Seven's the right person for that. It's not going to work with everyone. Obviously, it's not always going to work on a heel. Okay, so for example, if Zach Gibson was the champion, there would be no open challenge. I wouldn't know who else to pick on. Maybe let's just say, I don't know. Let's just pull out Ligero. Okay, a face. If Ligero was Atlas champion, would it work? No, I don't think it would.
No.
But Trent is the right individual for that. I think we've seen, and again, WWE, Seth Rollins with his IC title and open challenges. It has to be the right individual. And Progress have got it right with Trent. But I must say, the guy that answered the challenge is a phenomenal athlete. I've seen him at Fight Club Pro in the past. Obviously, WWE UK tournament. Dan Maloney is a beast.
Dan.
He's a beast.
It does crack me. He's very good. He's very young too.
He is so young. I wouldn't know how old he is. I don't know. I didn't make a note of actually how old he is. The one thing I've got a question for you or your listeners, because I can't find it. Dan Maloney's theme song that was used here at Chapter 80. What is it? Please, anyone listening, what is Dan Maloney's theme song? I need that in my life. I need to get that on my Apple Music and get that in my ears. Please help me, someone.
Yeah, I don't remember it. I'm gonna have to look back on that.
I think Shazam. I think I'm going to have to chuck on the iPad and Shazam it. I think that's the only way to go.
Yeah. What do you think about this match then?
Loved it. I think it went at the right pace. The Trent, I call it the Trent 7 pace. They're good friends anyway. Obviously from their Fight Club Pro days, and that's obvious to see. But Dan wasn't playing a heel. Dan was a face answering the open challenge. I enjoyed it. I'd like to see them go again. I'd like to see Dan Maloney push on, if that makes sense. I'd like to see him. This sounds so harsh and so critical of me. Dan Maloney's been around a while, and Dan Maloney, if you guys have seen him in NXT UK, he's being used as a squash guy. Yeah. Dan Maloney is no squash guy. No. If you beat Dan Maloney, you've done something good. But I just feel that Dan Maloney needs to do a little bit more. He needs to have better matches with similar mid-carders. We need to stand up and see him have a match with someone like, I don't know, Paul Robinson, Chris Ridgway. If Dan Maloney could have a quality match with those, he could have a quality match with anyone. Yeah. Because they're on that same level currently at him. Yeah. Maybe a bit harsh on Robinson. I think Robinson's a lot more advanced, okay? And Ridgway is still learning quickly, I must say. But having him in there with Trent, the back and forth was fantastic. The chops, of course, always. The Trent humour factor is always fantastic.
Yeah, Trent's awesome.
But Dan, for me, needs to show more to have a better match. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's difficult because I'm not a pro wrestler, and I probably sound really critical. I love Dan Maloney. I think he's great, but I want to actually come away and go, "Wow, Dan Maloney's got something," and I know I have the faith in him to go and face someone else.
Yeah, I feel the same with who I related that sort of style with is Elias. Like, I love Elias. Yeah, I know he's good in the ring, but we're yet to see like an amazing Elias match.
There's no standout, is there? No. There's no. Oh, what do we call it? A 5-star standout? Because it's easy for some of us to grade at a match as 5-star, but Elias is still looks very, very stiff in some things he does. But there's a match in there for him. You know. Let's go back. Tell you what. Let's go back to Cena Owens when Owens answered the open challenge and he said, "Oh no, I'll face you at Elimination Chamber." Yeah. How good that match was. Yeah. Owens from day one had that in him. Where's Elias's big match? Yeah. You know, he's against Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is awesome. Mm. He's an awesome talent. Why can't they have chemistry? If these are some of the best wrestlers in the world, where's the chemistry? And that's my point with Dan Maloney. He's working with some top guys at Fight Club Pro, at Progress. Where's the real progression there? I don't know. But Trent won it with did he win it with the Burning Hammer? Apologies.
Yes, he did, yeah.
He did, yeah.
Sort of,
Sort of Burning Hammer.
There's
It was
also
good.
an insane apron spot on this as well.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Which looked quite good and quite painful, which I appreciated, as it really sort of lifted the crowd. But yeah, this match, I'd give this match a good 3.5 star match. I think it's really good. Very good for a title match.
I think you're not far off there. I mean, it brought the comedy factor in. After the Amazing Andrew's done, you then have a little bit of breathing space with Trent coming out, doing his bit. Obviously, his cape, running around in a cape bit. It's a good laugh, and it just gets the crowd and us viewers at home ready for that next bit.
Yeah. Well, we are on to now the Do Not Resuscitate match. Our man Chuck Mambo, our good friend Chuck Mambo, and Eva versus Eddie Dennis and Mark Haskins. This was a match I really wanted to see when I seen it on the card. One of the matches I wanted to see the most. Obviously because of what Do Not Resuscitate are doing right now, and obviously because we've both had Chuck Mambo on our podcast recently, so it's interesting to see how he's getting on at the Progress shows. And this match did not disappoint for me. What do you think of it?
It was awesome. Mark Haskins, Eddie Dennis. I mean, the Eddie Dennis heel will be missed, I suppose, in Progress. But
do you think he works better as a heel or a face?
As a heel. I mean, he's got the entrance music of a heel, the way he walks into the ring. I've probably mentioned it on a podcast previously.
Yeah.
He's got something about him as a heel. Don't get me wrong, I'll still invest in him as a face, don't get me wrong at all, but Do Not Resuscitate, this has put them on the map. I'm speaking like the newcomers. They're not newcomers at all. I mean, Chuck, years and years and years, Riptide World Champion, Pastor, present William Eva, former Progress Champion. They're back on the map, and they're relevant again, but they had Haskins and Dennis. And it looked like Haskins and Dennis tagged together for about 20 years.
Yeah.
They were awesome. But this match was near fall after near fall after near fall. And I would say, with all due respect to the guy, obviously Chuck Mambo was probably the weakest link of the four here.
Yeah.
But he looked like he belonged in the main event scene straight away.
Yeah.
Because this is what this was. This was a main event caliber match from obviously what Do Not Resuscitate are doing within Progress. This had the right spot on the card for me. Obviously minus the next two matches. This could main event a Progress show if there weren't two slightly better matches in front of it. Yeah. It was awesome. It was really a joy to watch. What did you think of this?
Well, I'm a big fan of Mark Haskins.
Do you like the news? Are you happy with the news for
Haskins? Going to Ring of Honor?
Yeah. I'm
alright with it as long as he sort of stays around British wrestling as well. Like, fair play to him. If he can do both, amazing. I'm more for it. And we do see people doing both, so hopefully that is something that happens for him because he deserves it. To be honest, if I was the leader of NXT UK, Mark Haskins would be one of the first people I would be ringing and saying I want you on my roster. For some reason, they don't want Mark Haskins, and it's become very apparent because I don't think Mark Haskins would turn down a WWE offer.
Well, I mean, Haskins is very family orientated.
Yeah.
Obviously, his Vicky and his son, who was in the ring with him as well, not too long ago, if I'm right. I do think that there's something odd there. I mean, Haskins, Ring of Honor, that's going to be a lot of time over in the States.
Yeah.
There's going to be tapings. There's going to be a lot of time potentially away from family. I say potentially. We don't know the conversations he has, of course. But NXT UK would surely be fitting for him. However, having said that, is it a case of Haskins refused NXT UK because they don't want Vicky?
Maybe.
There? And Ring of Honor, the deal may be, well, if I'm coming, my wife is backing me up like she does where you've spotted me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you could probably have the balls to say that to Ring of Honor more so than Triple H, maybe? I don't know, I might be completely wrong, but I feel that's probably more of the reason here. I have my family, my Vicky stands by my side. At Ring of Honor, I can have that. At WWE, I can't. So
possibly,
I can fully understand.
Yeah, maybe. It is very weird to see the way it's Eddie Dennis and Mark Haskins being the face and Mambo and Eva being the heel. But I think with Progress, they throw out any stereotypes anyway, because when you watch back chapters before and you see a heel British Strong style, watching that now is very, very weird. And then you watch a Travis Banks being a huge heel, and I must say, I love Travis Banks heel over Travis Banks face. Just so much of a bigger, better character for me as a heel. But I think Progress do it very well, where they just, all right, yeah, you see Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne as faces, we're going to give you him as a heel, and that's what they've done here with Eddie Dennis. They've made him a face, and a face that everyone's getting behind, and the same with Mark Haskins, and then Chuck Mambo, who you would never say is a heel. They are working as a heel with Eva, and I think that's really good.
You Travis Banks, as soon as he changes attire, having the trouser style bottom half is awesome, by the way, and it really helps a character change, doesn't it? Like that. I mean, Banks was obviously the runaway champion. He was being booed before he lost the title to Volta. Got the injury, and I think sometimes injuries work for people. It really gives you a time to think about direction, come up with ideas, instead of continuing every single week doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think Banks said, well, they're booing me because I was a runaway champion. Yes, that's how you booked me. But let me do a heel run. Let me continue to get those draws, those boos, but let me do something else with it. And that's what he's going to do. But that's also a little bit like present William Eva.
Yeah.
When he was outside the recent Progress shows, doing his walk down the queue line, interviewing people, asking them what day it is, and all that, and people were loving that on the outside. But actually now it's been turned into, hang on a minute, he was doing that 3-4 weeks before this sudden heel turn, and it's great. It's fantastic. Really excited to see where Do Not Resuscitate go from here. Also really excited to see where Haskins and Dennis and Mark Andrews go from here.
Yeah.
Obviously Mark Andrews making that save, and the Eddie Dennis and Andrews stare down. Is it going to be a long road back to friendship?
Yeah.
I'd like to think so. Is it too soon? Perhaps so, after that epic TLC and feud this year. But do they come back on terms for the sake of Progress? Because for me, Do Not Resuscitate are going to go onto a tear. And like I said earlier, this is just the beginning. But does it have to show you that friendships become stronger again when there's a threat?
Yeah,
Because
that could
that's
be the
what
way of sort of defeating Do Not Resuscitate, the partnership between Andrews and Eddie Dennis coming back. That could be something we'll see in the future.
But this also, just quickly, this also talk of the NXT UK contracts. Eddie Dennis and Andrews are both signed to NXT UK, as we know.
Yeah.
But obviously, if this whole thing of working against, if NXT UK's guys have to work with NXT UK guys on the indie scenes, that could be another reason here that they're only allowed to tag together.
Yeah.
But obviously, the other four from Do Not Resuscitate are not contracted to.
Yeah, very true. This match obviously ended in a DQ when it looked like Haskins and Eddie Dennis had the win anyway. Drew Parker runs in and sort of stops that from happening. And then, like we said, we had Andrews running in, making the save on Eddie Dennis, and the sort of stare down, which sort of ended this segment. But very interesting, very interesting. We'll see what happens from that. Right, okay, we are back. Sorry, there was a bit of a technical difficulty. Don't you just love 21st century technology? Next match, the penultimate match, Ilya Dragunov versus Tyler Bate. I could not think of two people who I'd love to see more have a match between, like, other than these two. I love both of these guys, and it definitely delivered for me. What did you think of it, Josh?
Massive. I mean, when I heard this match was announced, I was like, hang on a minute, we're getting bait Dragunov for virtually free.
Yeah.
Obviously, with all due respect. It sounds like a huge pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
Yeah.
I guess. Bate's been on a tear. Obviously, he was, before injury, he was probably supposed to win the Super Strong style early in the year, to then face Volta at Wembley. It came full circle, and that happened for him anyway.
Yeah.
That match was awesome, by the way, guys. I'm sure all of you listeners or whoever's listening has seen that. It was awesome. But Dragunov Dunne at the same night was just as good. But this, at Chapter 80, was a phenomenal match. I mean, two of the best wrestlers in the whole world.
Yeah.
And we got to watch it on demand. It was perfection, and I hope they do it again. I hope Bate comes out and says, I want him again. He got lucky. Give him to me again. But Unbi Siege Bar is so over.
Oh,
he's so over.
How weird is it that we're in British wrestling in such a proud nation, and something that is Russian/German, he comes across as one of the biggest faces of this evening, and he gets one of the biggest cheers and one of the highest supports against Tyler Bate. How weird is that?
Because he's one of the best pro wrestlers in the world.
He is. He's awesome.
And I think hard work has been acknowledged.
Yeah.
That's all I can think that it is. Obviously, just, proud nation, all that political shit, whatever goes on in some people's heads. But he is phenomenal. I mean, look at the guy is in so much physical shape.
Yeah.
I mean, when he was brought into Progress, he was brought in as a dangerous heel, which he is anyway.
Yeah.
A foreign champion against, well, in theory, our champion. But I mean, this match was awesome. I mean, I can't eat. What's Dragunov's finisher called? The running headbutt thing. What's it actually called?
Is it the Torpedo Moscow?
Something. Yeah, I think that's the one. It's just awesome. It just looks dangerous, doesn't it? When he's lining that up, and for someone like Bate, I mean, Bate sold it well.
Yeah.
I think Bate sold it better than Dunne did, perhaps. I just it was awesome, and Dragunov could be in line for a shot at Volta in the very near future. How good would that be?
Would be good, but it'd be very weird. Both parts of ring camp. That would be very strange.
It would be a strange move, but do you have Dragunov pull away from that potentially? I don't know. I don't know. But I feel that something's got to happen with Dragunov unless he just accepts Trent's open challenge for the Atlas title soon and destroys Trent. I think it's too early into Trent's reign for that personally, but we'll see. But I mean, we've seen Volta v Timothy Thatcher several times before. Why can't we get Dragunov v Volta?
Very true. Dragunov is another one of these guys that if I was head of NXT UK, I'd be on the blower to him straight away. Him and Mike Haskins would be one of the first two people I'd be ringing. I think his character is amazing, especially if they are getting Volta in on NXT UK, which by the looks of it is going to happen. Obviously, nothing's been confirmed. It's just a lot of rumours right now, but it does seem that way. I would bring in Ilya Dragunov as well. You've already got that Axel Dieter Jr. on the NXT UK scene. I'd bring him in, make them three the heels, and go up against British Strong Style and have another faction in NXT UK, because that to me just smells danger, and it smells like amazing TV, because all three of them are really good. Obviously you got Volta, who would just kill anyone, but Dragunov is probably one of my favourite wrestlers that I've become aware of in 2018. One of my favourites, definitely.
Well, he's on the list of people that I've not seen that I want to see.
Yeah.
So, and then while he's Progress World Champion and I've got a ticket for Progress Bournemouth, there's every chance in the world that I'm going to see that. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing Volta. But you're absolutely right. I mean, Progress NXT UK, we're allowed to talk about it in the same breath. I'm sure of that. But if Volta signs, I mean, let's look at it this way. I know you're a fan of Gallus, and as am I. I think if Dunne overcomes Joe Coffey at NXT Blackpool, NXT TakeOver Blackpool, I think it pushes Gallus back a little bit.
Yeah.
So who's going to be next? Could it be Volta? Could Volta debut after Dunne and British Strong Style stay tall at the end with Bate and Seven being tag team champions?
Yeah.
With Dunne as UK champion. They've disposed of Gallus. They celebrate at the end, and in comes a faction led by Volta, a ring camp style faction. I think it would be
awesome.
You know, with Axel Dieter Jr. there as well. I think that's the way to go. But how would you then book Gallus? That's for another show.
Yeah.
But definitely, I like your thinking there. It's the faction thinking that you've got there, isn't it? You've got that.
I do love my
natural.
faction.
You've got a natural Omega Luke faction thinking.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's great.
I like companionship. I like working with other people.
Yeah. I've noticed. Dragunov Bate for me 4 stars.
Yeah, easily 4 stars. It's such a good match.
They held back. I think they held back on something. I couldn't quite pinpoint it.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe
when you get that feeling.
time.
Perhaps so.
But we're going to go into the final match now, and I think I could easily speak on behalf of you, without even saying this is easily both our best matches of the night.
By far, by a country mile, and there's no disrespect to those that come before. This was the match that sold the show.
Yeah.
It was going to sell anyway, don't get me wrong, but LAX in progress in Manchester against CCK, the Octopus, Jonathan Gresham, and Chris Brooks was fucking sick.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it. I mean, Jonathan Gresham is so underrated. And I'm going to tell you a little story. I went to Fight Club Pro, Dream Tag Team Invitational in March, the start of the year.
Yeah.
And I got photos with everyone, even if I didn't know some of who they were. You know, sometimes you go, oh, who is that? You know?
Yeah.
I'm not sure who that indie person was. I did that to Jonathan Gresham. I did not know who Jonathan Gresham was in March. More fool me, I wasn't massive on Ring of Honor. I'll be honest with you. It was my first Fight Club Pro show, and I wasn't overly familiar with CCK at the time. Okay, and if you listeners maybe know me, my indie wrestling learning of it has come throughout 2018. So apologies.
Same.
But Jonathan Gresham, I got a photo with the guy, but me and my mate looked at each other and we were like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
But we'll get a photo anyway. And we did it. And you can tell in the photo that I've got on my phone, you can tell I was like, I don't know who Jonathan Gresham is. And he was even looking at the camera like, he doesn't know who I am. but I'm smiling. But how good was Jonathan Gresham?
He's awesome.
Oh my God.
It was great to see LAX in progress, like you said, in Manchester in this #1 contenders match for the tag team championships, and obviously it led to the championship match at Chapter 81 the day after.
Hands up, I've not watched it yet. I am behind on Chapter 81. I should have made the time. I haven't.
You are
I cannot
not going to be
wait.
disappointed.
That noise was like, you basically, in that little noise that you said there, you're like, hang on a minute, dickhead. You're telling me you haven't watched this, you absolute loser.
No,
but you shortened
that
it.
was me saying, I wish I was you experiencing it for the first time again.
Oh, really? Oh my God,
Yeah.
Can't wait. Okay, I just want to ask you a little question then.
Go for it.
Was the tag team match better than CCK LAX? Was the tag title match better? Or is that a real tough question?
No.
Okay,
No.
that's fine.
Up there,
That's
but
fine.
no.
Yep. Okay.
But that's no run doing on the 81.
Of course.
Because
Yeah.
this Chapter 80 main event is arguably one of the best tag team matches you'll see this year in any promotion. I think it's up there with Mustache Mountain versus Undisputed Era at Royal Albert Hall, which you obviously got to see yourself. It's definitely up there with that. It's up there with some of the amazing tag matches that we've seen recently in New Japan with Dakota, Ibushi, Omega, Golden Lovers, Tanahashi versus Ospreay. It's up there with that.
Just quickly, what did you think of that? I mean, a lot of people are talking about that one spot in particular
With Ospreay?
But the whole, the whole match was insane.
I seen a tweet and I could not have retweeted a tweet more than what I did. It said Ospreay and Ibushi did more storytelling in that one gif of Ospreay flipping over and them having the back-to-back anime style standoff than most wrestlers do in a full feud storyline across months of hard work. And
I'll tell you what, it put Rollins Ambrose to shame, didn't it?
Oh, that's not hard, mate. I've had bigger feuds with my family than Rollins Ambrose has been right now.
Crikey, it's Anyway, it was a bit dire, but that was in a special match, and for any match to be spoken in the same breath as the Ibushi Omega Tanahashi Ospreay match, has to have something special, and this didn't it? I went straight on the Grapple app. Download the Grapple app, guys, if you haven't yet already, and get starring. Let's put it that way. Let's get your stars, get your 5 stars in there, get it wherever you want to do, and share it with the world so that people know what you think of everything. So share it on the Grapple app. But that Ospreay, my goodness, that CCK LAX match, 5 stars.
Oh, easy.
As I had my finger on the 5th star as the referee counted 3. I was ready. It was
such a good match.
And I need to go and watch it again. Because as silly as this sounds, because it was that good, I was so engrossed in it. And I know, like you, we usually make notes on things. I didn't get to make notes on this because I was so engrossed.
It was impossible
in
to
the
do
match
so.
itself. Absolutely. And I know I said this earlier when we spoke. You said, I'm sorry, I haven't got notes on this. And I'm going to be honest with you, even though it was that good a match, I've watched so much wrestling since. I can't remember everything, but it's because it all flowed.
Yeah.
There wasn't a single spot that felt out of place, not out of place, that stood on its own.
There were so many really cool spots that they did, which led to so many close fours. And that is something that I really love about tag team wrestling, is that you have moves which will end an opponent in a singles match, but the difference is you have a tag partner which can break up the pin. And I think this match did that so well. And thinking in my head now, I think this match is the best. Yeah, it's the best way that I've seen that being used in a tag match, where you've got your tag partner making the save on the 3 count pin. I really do feel like there were so many times in this match I thought that's the end, and it wasn't. And it was because of how well they planned out this match, how well they planned out all these spots where pins were getting broken up, the link into different moves, into the different tag moves, the cutters and everything like that they were throwing into this match was so good. Props to the 2 teams for putting on one of the best tag matches of the year.
100%, massively. Do it again. Please do it again.
And obviously that led to LAX getting the win.
It did. On to Chapter 81 for the Tag Championships versus heavyweight Carl Fletcher, Dunkzilla Mark Davis, Aussie Open. I can't wait to watch it. I know you've watched it. I cannot wait to get my eyes on that, hopefully at some stage. Maybe tomorrow, get my eyes on it. Maybe treat myself Christmas Eve with some pro wrestling watching. Question for you though: have you watched the tag match from CCK and LAX from the Coast to Coast tour?
I haven't, but I really want to watch it now because I've heard it was almost as good.
Yeah. I think very difficult to choose between the 2, and I'm not gonna say which one I preferred. Not on here. No, I'll keep it to myself because I'll probably change my mind about 100 times and go, no, that one was better. No, that one was better. Which is a key, actually. And before I let you wrap this up, I watched recently Wrestle Kingdom 11's Kazuchika Okada Kenny Omega match.
Yeah.
And I always decided that the recent Dominion Kenny Omega Championship winning match was my favourite.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's because of the emotion with Omega finally winning the big one.
Yeah.
But actually, I go back over their feud, and I've decided that their first match at Wrestle Kingdom 11 was my favourite because of the final 5-minute sequence.
Yeah,
I don't think you'll find a better sequence in anything that you do in life than that in particular match. I think it was fantastic.
Yeah, that's my favourite match of the 4 matches that they've had. Is the first one. I don't know if you've actually seen it. We're going a bit off topic here, but I don't know if you've seen the New Japan YouTube channel, The History of Chaos Part 1 and 2 yet.
I've not watched the History of Chaos yet. It's the recount,
so
isn't it?
Good. Yeah.
New Japan
So
have
good.
they've really upped their social media game, haven't they? They've
Yeah.
really sort of, especially with the English and American fans now, they've had to include this,
Yeah.
and it's really working for them. And I just want to say, no disrespect to you, I know they're probably not listening. Omega and Jericho, I think, are two of the real reasons that New Japan are really on the map. For last year's huge Jericho move over to Japan, facing Omega, I think it really helped put New Japan on the map again.
Yeah.
I say again, but then you look at all the names they've had in the past. But for me, it really grabbed more viewers with that.
Definitely.
The
timing was perfect.
It was. That being said, Wrestle Kingdom 13's card is bigger and better than last year's already, for me.
I agree. Chapter 18 then, let's wrap up. What do you think overall?
I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think for the reasons that I felt that the Chris Ridgway, Paul Robinson opener obviously had the finish that it had. It means there's things still going on. I think there'd be a bigger blowout match somewhere along the lines. And like I said, I've not seen 81. So I'm sat here not having seen the rematch than the night after. I think Bate and Dragunov had more to give.
Yeah.
And because it was early stages of Do Not Resuscitate, and I think they will only get stronger as the chapters go on, I give it an 8 out of 10.
No,
but it was
I
a
agree with you.
stacked card.
I agree. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Like we said, the 5-star match at the end, the Bate Dragunov match was almost there. We had a lot of fun with Pete Dunne, Mark Andrews, and we had the sort of progressive storyline telling with the Paul Robinson, Chris Ridgway, and the Do Not Resuscitate boys going forward. So overall, a very, very good chapter. Do they do bad chapters? I don't think so. But
Never.
A very strong one from Progress. So a lot to look forward to in the future, definitely.
Massively.
Okay, Josh, what do you have coming up in the future, mate, that you want to plug?
Well, at the moment, 2019 is an open diary at the moment. I really wanted to focus on what I was doing at the end of 2018. So all the guests that I've had on, so go check out my shows with Ring of Honor star Shane Taylor, Magic Mark Adams from IPW. Also on there, my recent episode, my Merry Christmas episode with Chuck Mambo. Go and check that one out. And also we had on there the visionary Vaughn Vertigo, who many of you might not know. He has done a little bit of work in IPW. Obviously, over here, working Milton Keynes, etc. And also, apologies, I have just had a complete mind blank. Big Wavy, Roy Johnson, who was a fantastic guest on my show, even though he's a Crystal Palace fan. He was a fantastic guest. Big Wavy, Roy Johnson, again, Progress star. He was on my show 2 weeks ago. That was a great episode. So please, especially, I would go and hit up the the Big Wavy Roy Johnson show. But for the moment, 2019 is an open diary. I'm really starting to plan again for after Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
I may have a special Wrestle Kingdom show with a guest. I'm not going to name that person at the moment. It's been sort of officially booked, but we haven't quite set a date and a time. So there is a Wrestle Kingdom review show coming up with a special guest who will be debuting on the Graps N podcast. But at the moment, it is a case of work hard, get the guys on the show, guys and gals on the show, and just see what January does bring. But we have got a big month of wrestling in January with the Royal Rumble, with NXT, and NXT UK TakeOver, as well as Wrestle Kingdom. So time will be an issue, but I'm excited.
Definitely. Where can we find you on social media, buddy?
So you can obviously find me on the Twitter at Graps N. Okay, that's basically where all my stuff goes. So no Facebook, no Instagram. So anything that I do, please head over to Twitter at Graps N. And obviously Patreon is coming soon. iTunes, Apple, Spotify, for my podcast released. Like I said, find it all in my Twitter feed. Graps N at Graps N. Your support will be greatly appreciated. But from me, Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas to you too, Josh. Yep, that's all from me as well. You can find me on Twitter at Omega_Luke. Instagram and Facebook I sometimes use, and you can follow me on that too. Pro Wrestling Tees, you can pick up your Omega Luke tee, which you can see if you have YouTube, that I am wearing currently. I also have the black version, which I think I prefer, to be fair. I've seen it. My friend Math bought both. He said he was going to give me the black one. They both arrived. He changed his mind. He kept the black one for himself because he loved it too much and gave me the white one. I'm not complaining. I still like the white, but the black one is a very sexy tee. So you can get that at prowrestlingtees.com/Omega Luke. I do have another design being processed and on its way very soon. We will be doing Chapter 81 probably this week, Josh. Am I right?
We certainly will be. Obviously, with the Christmas break, we'll have to sort out the best time and date for that. But I'm sure by the end of the week, we'll have something lined up. Obviously, busy lives, busy Christmas for you. I know with your work schedule, etc.
Yeah.
But we will obviously bring your fans and my fans, of course, the Chapter 81 Progress review show, because we're going to be looking at unboxing live very, very soon, which is December 30th. So hopefully 5-6 days after that. So early in the new year, we'll have the special unboxing live Progress chapter to bring you. But before that, obviously, we need to get Chapter 81 done. And I'm super excited to go and get my eyes over it and talk to you so your listeners can hear our thoughts on Progress chapters.
Definitely. That will be on your podcast on audio only and on my YouTube, which we're going to do for every episode will be on my YouTube, but we'll alternate on each other's podcast channels. Also on YouTube, I do have the vlog from Fight Forever Pro Wrestling that we did a couple of weeks ago, where we answered everyone's questions, did a bit of carpool karaoke. I'm still editing it. It's taken me a long time because I'm a bit of a YouTube virgin when it comes to editing actual videos. So I want it to be as good as I can possibly get it for you guys. I don't want to be putting up any crap content. But that is all from me, guys. Like we said, patreon.com/Omega Luke. And Josh, make sure you check out Josh's Patreon in the near future when he sets all the rewards out. And support indie podcasts. But that's everything from me. Josh, do you have anything more to say, buddy?
Just a happy Christmas, and thank you for everyone for supporting not only me on my Graps N podcast journey, but especially Omega Luke, because this is just a massive thank you to Omega Luke and Wilfred Watches for giving me the passion again to be successful in podcasting. These two guys, Omega Luke and Wilfred Watches, are putting so much hard work and effort in to bring you the best podcasting. I want to be up there with these guys. I just want to be as good as these guys. So thank you.
Very kind of you to say so, Josh. I'm sure you'll get there, buddy. You're smashing it right now, and your interviews are coming thick and fast. So keep an eye on Josh and Graps and that. But thank you, everyone, and goodbye and good night. Bang.